the stand. Now he runs. He produces a magic print. He pulls out another one. This is incredible. This is ridiculous. This is 15 out of 10 on the incredible meter. What a player. What an entertainer. Give him the medal. Give him the Dally M medal.
Hello, footy fans, and welcome back to the Chip and Chase podcast. We are here, as we always are, for our Thursday previews, which includes, of course, the Friday games for round 9 of the NRL Telstra Premiership season. So, yeah, our Thursday, Friday game previews for round 9. We're going to get straight into this one, as we always want to do, trying to make these short and sharp. I'm always low on time nowadays, but Thursday kicks things off with the South Sydney Rabbitohs taking on the Penrith Panthers, 7:50 p.m. Accor Stadium, Sydney. So, of course, this one's a Rabbitohs home game, but both Sydney teams, you know, can't be too different in the fan department. Two opposite ends of the spectrum for these two clubs, though. Rabbitohs down in 17th, the very bottom of the ladder. Panthers, they're up in 3rd place at the moment, so near the tippity top, which, you know, the results of these two teams this season reflect that. But we'll get straight into this one. Look, of course, in terms of my tips, I have tipped the Penrith Panthers to win this one, regardless of the late changes that we've got in the team list department, which, you know what, we'll get straight into that one now, starting with the Rabbitohs. There's been a few shifts here, of course. This team was named when Jason Demetriou was coach, and then, you know, they've got, I think it was Ben Hornby is stepping up in that interim role. So he's made a few changes since he's come in. I'm not sure what's due to injury or whatnot, but for the Rabbitohs now, Jacob Gagai has been dropped from the squad. I'm not sure if it's injury or just form or anything whatsoever, but he's out of the side, which moves Isaiah Tass from centre to wing, Michael Cheekham from second row to centre. Isaac Tuitupo Thompson comes into the side, who was absent last week. Their forward pack is now Davey Mawali at prop with Jai Arrow at prop as well. Here's jersey 17, though, Jai Arrow. Keon Kaloa-Matangi, who was named at front row, is back in the second row, despite the fact he has the number 8 jersey on his back. And their bench is Peter Mamazelos, Saliva Havili, Tom Burgess, and Sean Kepi. So when you go and watch this game, if you didn't tune into this podcast and know what the team lists are, you're going to be scratching your head seeing jerseys in every which spot and not playing the position that those jerseys represent. So yeah, very, very different, very odd to look at, but I think it's a better side. We called for Jai Arrow to be playing front row for the Rabbitohs, and to see him back in that position is great. Kaloa-Matangi, despite the fact he was named at prop, I love seeing him back in the back row where he belongs. In terms of their, you know, centre winger conundrum, bit odd. You know, I think Gagai has been one of their better performance, which is why I'm sort of hoping it must be an injury or a personal matter. If he's just been dropped for the hell of it, that's really odd to me. I also prefer Isaiah Tass in the centres, despite the fact I think Isaiah Tass has been had a pretty poor season this season. But again, most Rabbitohs have had a pretty poor season. Michael Cheekham in the centres. Look, I'm a fan of Michael Cheekham wherever he plays. He's got that versatility, so I don't mind him in there. But yeah, very interesting little side for the Rabbitohs. We'll get into what the Panthers have named, however. The big news straight out of Penrith is that Nathan Cleary has been a late withdrawal. No injury related. It's injury related, I suppose, but it's not a severe injury. They're simply choosing to rest him for this game just because he's come back from that hamstring injury, and hamstrings, they're a hard injury to manage. This is the short turnaround. They played the Sunday, and they now play, this game on the Thursday. So or might have played the Saturday. Regardless, it's a 5-day turnaround. So they've just decided to rest Nathan Cleary. Brad Schneider is the man to come in and replace him at halfback in jersey 20. Sania Taruva also comes back onto the wing for Paul Alamotti, who played last week, and Moses Leota comes into the front row, pushing Lindsay Smith to the bench, and someone who I can't remember out of the squad. The other late change is that Jack Cole has actually been brought onto the interchange in jersey 18, and Dane Laurie is dropped to the reserves. Really interesting. I mean, we got to see Jack Cole in the preseason challenge. There's been a lot of raps from Jack Cole. He's been injured this season, so I haven't got to see him in first grade too much, but good to see that they back him so highly that they're going to throw him straight into their starting team. Well, not into their starting team, but into their first grade team. for this one in jersey 18 on the bench. But yeah, those are how these two teams line up, I should say. As we said earlier, I have tipped the Penrith Panthers. I do have a little bit of a feeling about the Rabbitohs. They've been playing a little bit better footy as of late, not, extensively. I know they got trounced last week, but there were at least some signs in attack. There's the whole thing about interim coaches stepping in and getting a performance, getting a result out of the boys. Maybe it happens here. It's a hard gig when you're up against the best team in the NRL. But look, I see a bit of a rejuvenated performance, but I don't see them winning. I don't see them winning in any way, shape, or form, which is, it's a tough old gig, but I don't think many Rabbitohs fans themselves really see this one going any other way. In terms of the matchups for this one, well, I'm going to have to go straight to the 5/8. Without Nathan Cleary, Jarome Luai usually steps up. I've been really impressed with how he's been playing this year. Definitely flying under the radar. I think a lot of people look at numbers or just ignore the fact that he's playing good footy because it's Jarome Luai, but he has been playing some pretty good footy despite the fact he hasn't got incredible numbers to them. Up against Cody Walker, love that matchup. These two are going to lead their sides despite the fact that they have the 6 jersey on their back, so I really, really like that one as a matchup. Definitely my matchup of the game, which will lead us into our bets. Now, once again, I will mention that all of my betting is done through Sportsbet. I am not affiliated with Sportsbet in any way. They are just the agency that I choose to bet with. If you're looking to follow along with any of these bets, do it through Sportsbet because a lot of these markets may not be available in other betting agencies, and even if they are, the odds may be completely different. So if you're wanting to follow along, the closest thing you can get to me, just bet through Sportsbet. But once again, please make sure that whenever we are gambling responsibly. Do not bet what you cannot afford. If gambling is no longer fun for you, please do seek help. But we will get into the bet for this one, starting with Penrith Panthers head-to-head. Look, I didn't hate the idea of going for a Rabbitohs line in this one, but when I looked at the line, I think it was only like 8.5 points. I'm like, no chance. That's a bit. Sportsbet, get your act together for that one. If you think the line for a Rabbitohs and Panthers game is 8.5 points, it's pretty ridiculous. But so I've just gone Panthers head-to-head. I mean, it's just probably the safest leg there. We have gone a little bit different, though. We normally go for an anytime try scorer. I'm going really out on a limb, and I'm backing Taylor May, who hasn't scored a bloody try this season, to be the first try scorer for the Panthers. It's out there, which makes the odds quite high in this one. Look, it's definitely not if I was encouraging any of you to follow a multi, this isn't the one, but look, why not throw some money on it and hope for the best. So Taylor May as a first try scorer, not any time, but a first, and then the under 43.5 total match points. So once again, that's Penrith Panthers head-to-head, Taylor May first try scorer, under 43.5 total match points for the odds of $25. So if you're throwing $1 on that, and all 3 legs get up, you win $25 back to the dollar. So that is my multi for that game, but we'll move straight on to the first Friday game for round 9, which of course is the Manly Warringah Seagulls taking on the Canberra Raiders, 4 Pines Park, Sydney. So Manly home game, 6 p.m. this one takes place. Seagulls currently sitting in 4th place on the NRL ladder. Raiders, they've slumped to 10th after a few back-to-back losses, but still a decent season from the Raiders so far. So let's get into this one and see how we see it playing out. We'll start with the team list news. So for Manly, it's just the one news. Homole Olakuatu has been suspended for 2 weeks for that lifting tackle, which means Ethan Bullymore has come into the side at second row, and Toa Fofoa-Sipley comes onto their interchange. Really interesting to note that their interchange is Carl Lawton, Sipley, Brown, and Lodge. So 3 middles and a hooker. So interesting if there are any injuries in the back row, what's going to happen there. You expect maybe Nathan Brown shifts out there, but we'll have to see how that one plays out. But that's the only change for the Seagulls. Daly Cherry Evans did get off his charge, so he is free to play. For the Raiders, Chevy Stewart has been not dropped, but rested. He isn't playing New South Wales Cup this week. He's not injured. Ricky Stewart has been very adamant that this is nothing form related. He's been happy with how Chevy's performed. He's just giving Chevy a week off in this one, so he is out of the squad. Albert Hopewate comes in at fullback after recovering from his burns. Nick Kotrick comes onto the wing as well for James Schiller, who has seemingly been dropped from this game. He's named in the reserve, so I'd assume as much. And besides that, we have Elliot Whitehead making his return from injury in the second row, captaining the side, which moves Simi Sasangi out of the squad. So those are the changes for those two teams. If we move into the tips, look, I'm going to be boring. I'm going to tip the favourites. So I see Manly getting a win here. You know, everyone was sort of thinking the Raiders were going to get up for last week's clash against the Sharks, which I didn't see because I don't know where Raiders score their points without Jamal Fogarty or Mitch Henderson. Get him in there, Ricky. Get it done. But I think it's going to be the same thing here. Without a commanding halfback like Jamal Fogarty, I don't see where Ethan Strange and KO Weeks can conjure those points. Like, they try hard, but they don't have that game plan and organisation skills. They're also really young, so to be leading this team and calling all these shots, it's a tough gig to be able to do that at such a young age. So I don't see them being able to knock off the high-flying Seagulls. Seagulls, coming off a indifferent performance, I thought they were pretty average against the Eels. The Eels were quite good, and then, you know, they got out of it, get out of jail free when the Sevo send-off happened and they scored their points to win that game by the end of it. But I still think they're playing some really good footy, and I see them getting the job done in this one. In terms of my matchup for the game, it's a very interesting one. I'd love to go to Luke Brooks and Ethan Strange again. You guys know how high I am on Luke Brooks and how high I've been on Ethan Strange this season. I'm going to try and look elsewhere. I'm going to go to the front row duel. Now, we know how good the Canberra pack is. I think they're going to be looking to redeem themselves this week. I love Papali'i and Tarpany up against Aloiai and Taniela Paseka. Paseka has been playing some really good footy this year, one of the most informed props in the competition, up against someone like Tarpany, who we know has been one of the best front rowers for a number of years now. And Aloiai playing good footy, Papali'i, the veteran, playing some good footy. So I'm going to go to the forward pack here, specifically the front row duels between those players for my matchup of this game. In terms of my bet, we have got Luke Brooks as an anytime try scorer. We have the game going over 43.5 total match points. I've got the Seagulls winning 1-12 in the big win, little win margin. So just to add a little bit more money onto that one, I suppose, I've gone for the 1-12 margin. I think they get done. They could blow it away. We know the attacking threat that Manly possess, but I'm going to assume it's going to be another close one, as the Raiders tend to normally grind out. So we'll read through them again. That's Manly Seagulls 1-12 in the big win, little win margin. Luke Brooks anytime try scorer and over 43.5 total match points for a multi odds of $21.25. Once again, if you're putting $1 on that and it wins, you win $21.25 back to the dollar. Alas, we will move into the final Friday game in this one between the Brisbane Broncos and the Sydney Roosters. 8 p.m. Suncorp Stadium, Brisbane. Broncos home game. Broncos in 5th, Roosters in 7th. This one is going to be one of the matchups of the round. Really excited for this matchup. Just two of the better teams in our competition going at it too. Just superstars across the pack. But let's get into their team changes before we read into how I'm going to tip this one. For the Broncos, Selwyn Cobbo has returned, which pushes Jesse Arthurs back to the wing and Corey Oates out of the side. Ezra Mam also returns for this clash, and he replaces Jock Madden in a straight swap as Madden has dropped out injured. The rest of their forward pack is the exact same, and their bench is the same. For the Roosters, Daniel Tupou comes back from his little stint on the sidelines, pushing the injured Michael Jennings out and Joseph Suali'i back into the centres. Beyond that, it hasn't been changed just yet, but Jared Warrior-Hargreaves has been ruled out of this game. We don't know who is going to replace him at starting front row. You'd expect Terrell May, but it very well could be Nafahu White. We'll have to find out. But with Warrior-Hargreaves dropping out, it'll probably mean Victor Radley, who is named in the reserves, will come into this side. There's also a chance that Satili Tupanua also comes into the side, but that remains to be seen. Beyond that, Connor Watson still lining up at lock at the moment, and their benches Siwa Wong, Nafahu White, Egan Butcher, and Terrell May. But again, late changes to come for that side. In terms of the tipping, I have once again been boring and gone for the favourites in the Broncos. I think now that they're full side, they're just one of the best sides in the NRL. You know, you guys would have heard last week I said I think they're my favourites to win the comp this year. They're just so fun to watch. They're so good defensively, so good in attack, just everything about them top to bottom. They're a football side, and the Roosters, they're playing some really good footy, obviously coming off their 60-18 defeat over the Dragons on Anzac Day, so they can definitely get up for this one and definitely win it. Like, I'm not putting it past them. I just think I'm going to go for the Broncos in this one, or at least tipping wise. I'm not going to root for anyone in terms of just supporting, but I do think the Roosters can win this one, and I'd love to see a close clash. I expect a close clash in this one, and I'm just, really excited as a fan of rugby league to tune into this game. For our head-to-head matchup of players, a lot of good options. I'd love to go the centres, Tony Staggs, Joseph Suaalii, and Selwyn Cobbo, Joseph Manu. That's so exciting. I like Dominic Young and Dean Mariner, the speed of those two. Look, there's just across the park, Adam Reynolds, Sam Walker. I don't know. There's too many to pick. Even in the front row department, Payne Haas, who also has picked up an injury. He's in some doubt. We don't know if he will be ruled out. That remains to be seen. At the time of recording, he's in the side. But if he remains in the side, if he's up against Lindsay Collins and Terrell May, etc., like, I don't know. Across the park, I'm really excited for this game. If I had to lean anywhere for my matchups, you could even go to the fullbacks of Reece Walsh and James Tedesco, and I'm going to be boring and do that. Two of our superstars of our game, the New South Wales and Queensland incumbent fullbacks. So that is my matchup for this game. Really excited to see how those two players shape up. Moving into the bet for this one, a little bit less of the odds of the last couple, but we've got the Brisbane Broncos head-to-head as the first leg. We then have James Tedesco as an anytime try scorer, and then we have the match going over 42.5 total match points. I think Tedesco at $3.40 he was when I placed his bet. That's really good odds for Tedesco to score a try. He's no stranger to a try, and really nice odds for that. I also like the over 42.5 total match points. We know these two teams can score tries. So they can score points just free willy. Willy-nilly would have been the correct phrase to say there. My apologies. God. But I like those legs. So that, once again, Brisbane Broncos head-to-head, James Tedesco anytime try scorer, and over 42.5 total match points for the odds of $7.50. And that one wraps us up for our Thursday and Friday previews. Of course, as we do nowadays, I'm going to sit down and record the Saturday previews after this, and then the Sunday previews straight after that. So there might be a few things that are outdated because I record them all on this Thursday and schedule them for upload on the particular days. But you guys can live with that, and you can make your own decisions beyond that. But that'll wrap us up for this one. So thank you guys for tuning in to this podcast, and I'll see you guys next time.